Hey y'all, welcome to today's video. This is a different format than you're used to seeing my videos in. I wanted to film a resolutions-ish video, and I've debated on what to call it because resolutions mean you are not going to do, or you are going to do the things you say, period. And there's no flexibility. I'm not sure that this is quite that. I think it's more of a combination of resolutions and reflections. So this should be called something like resiflections or reflectolutions or something like that. And it's just my reflections on my own personal channel over the past year or two. It's been 2 full years that I've been on YouTube as of December 12th, 2022. By the way, we're in 2023. Happy holidays or belated holidays. Got my cup of tea, and I hope you do too. And I apologize for the bizarre reflections behind me. Isn't that weird? You can see like a little me there and a little me over there. So this is not my full-time job. I have a full-on career that I really enjoy with colleagues that I love in a field that has absolutely nothing to do with beauty, with makeup, with products, nothing, something completely different. Why do I do YouTube? I do YouTube for fun. This is a creative outlet for me. I've got 2 channels. This one that is focused on fragrances. And I've got a second channel called Essential Veronica that's about makeup. It's about skin products, hair products, lifestyle, decorating, life reflections, everything. A very chatty channel. If you just like someone to keep you company in video form while you do chores around the house or hang out or do your own makeup in the morning, maybe you want to check that channel out. Both channels are a creative outlet for me. They really are just fun, a way to express myself outside of the professional work that I do, and attend to habits that I enjoy. I really enjoy fragrances. I really enjoy makeup. I enjoy Sephora, Ulta, and everything in between. Love retail therapy. I talk about that a lot on the other channel, the joys, the pros and cons of retail therapy. But you know, since it's been 2 years I've been on this channel, I wanted to just take some time to be thoughtful, or the word we like to use here on YouTube is mindful, to be mindful of what I'm doing on my channel and why. So in the time that I've been on YouTube, I've learned so much about the platform, and I'm still learning. It's like I'm unlocking new levels of this YouTube video game as the months go by, and as I talk to different creators and learn about what they do, how they do it, the tricks of the trade, all of that. It's been such a learning journey, and I feel like I'm really just at the beginning. Like if this YouTube thing has 100 levels, I'm on like level 3 or 4 maybe. And by the way, let me pause to just say thank you so much for your viewership and for your YouTube friendship. There's nothing that I enjoy more about this channel than all of you, getting to know you, getting to chat with you in the comments, hearing about your preferences, joking around with you about fragrance. Fragrance should be fun. Makeup should be fun. All kinds of skincare and whatever, house products, blah, 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 Amazon products, all of that stuff should be a lot of fun. I think of fragrance as a form of expressive creativity on the part of perfumers. And I also think of it as a way of connecting with all of you, and sometimes in humorous ways. For example, there are fragrances that I love that some of you just can't stand, and vice versa. And we can have a good chuckle about that in the comments and still enjoy each other and see each other in the next video. And I love that about the fragrance community. I thought I would do these resiflections or reflectolutions, whatever we want to call them, in the same fashion that I might start a business team meeting. Let's say it's the end of the year and I'm with my work team and we're reflecting on our progress and challenges over the past year. We might start with a question like, tell us one thing that we should keep doing, one thing that we should stop doing, and one thing that we should start doing, not necessarily in that order. So I like that as a way to group the thinking that I have about what I've done on this channel, good, bad, or indifferent. So just like in any other realm of life, at least me, I'm always thinking about ways to progress or improve in what I'm doing. So for me, what is it that I think about as indicators of improvement for the channel? Shockingly, it's not the number of subscribers, although I really appreciate all my subscribers and I absolutely appreciate every view on a video. For me, I'm not entirely sure what I consider the exact indicators of success for the channel, but I think it's something in the realm of the following. 1, the concepts for the videos are getting more clear and crisp. Like I have a really clear thought of what it is that I want to talk about in a video and that I execute on that thought in a fairly succinct manner. I mean, some of my videos are fairly long, so I don't mean in terms of length. I mean in terms of being just crisp and clean about what it is that I'm trying to convey to the audience. So that's 1. 2, that I actually enjoy the video that I'm doing, that I like the content myself. It's something I want to talk about, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. 3, I will talk about views a little bit, and it's not that I want astronomical views on every video. Although, listen, it's quite nice when people click into a video and you see that the engagement is high, because on the back end of YouTube, the metrics that they use that you can see as a creator, you can see how many people stayed throughout certain points of the video, like how many people stayed till the end, how many people stayed midway. It's a very typical thing on YouTube for people to click into a video and then drop off. So like your viewer engagement drops off dramatically, like a minute into the video, especially if you're not quick and to the point. And I'm not quick and to the point, but that part doesn't bother me. I really do want people to stay engaged in the content. If I'm rambling on too long and people are not enjoying it to the point where they're clicking off in droves, then that's telling me I probably should shorten up my content next time. Speaking of shortening up, I'm going on too long. But anyway, there are metrics on the back end of YouTube that tell you how your videos are doing and how they're performing one against the other. So if there's a video that's dramatically underperforming in comparison to others, I like to know why. Is it something that just didn't interest people? Was it a topic that didn't resonate with folks? And that's okay. That's not a failure or a disaster. It's just something to learn from. An example is the video that I filmed on tobacco fragrances. I love tobacco fragrances. Most of my audience is women, females from probably 35 to 65, that age range, and particularly in the 40 to 60 range. Like if I wanted to tighten it down, most of my watchers are in that age group and are female. And the conclusion that I draw is a lot of them just maybe are not interested in tobacco fragrances. It's not something that is meaningful to them. They're not looking for tobacco fragrances. No problem. That doesn't mean I would never do a tobacco fragrance video again. It just means that if I do it, I need to be aware that people may not be as interested in that topic as they are in others. So it's just something for me as a creator to be aware of. However, when I posted my top 10 for life video in December, which at this point that you're watching this would have been a week or 2 or maybe 3 ago at this point, that performed really well, really quickly in comparison to my other videos. And so that tells me that people are interested in that kind of topic. Anyway, in terms of metrics of success, creativity, my own personal interest in the topic, crispness, and audience interest are really important to me. So boy, that was super long-winded. We're many, many minutes into this video, and I still haven't told you about my resiflections or reflectolutions or whatever the heck we're going to call them. So let's jump in here. I'll actually start with 2 things that I'm going to stop doing in 2023, or that I plan to stop doing, because I reserve the right to change my mind. I can be very fickle and think something one day and then completely change my mind the next, and maybe you're like me too. But I am going to be more conscious of purchasing multiple fragrances that have the same scent profile. When I really took a good look at my collection at the end of this year, it's the end of the year. At the end of every year, I do this big thing where I do a huge reflection on all facets of my life, including the things that I own, and take stock of, have I enjoyed the things that I own? Are there things in my collection that I should let go of, move along, get more of, whatever the case may be. So with fragrances, it became really apparent as I scanned my fragrance shelves, which I'm looking at off camera here, that I have too many of certain scent profiles, and it's reached a fever pitch of ridiculousness. And a lot of that was in an effort to try out different versions of a certain kind of fragrance to see which one was the best. So I'll give you an example. The most obvious example is that I have probably 7 or 8 versions of Baccarat Rouge 540. Isn't that crazy? Who needs that many of that version of fragrance? So regardless of whether you like the fragrance or not, it really doesn't matter. You can insert any name there. The point that I'm making is you don't need 7 or 8 of the same thing, something that smells almost identical. I went down a rabbit hole trying to find the best dupe or copy or inspired by version of Baccarat Rouge, all in an effort not to buy the original, because I refuse to pay the retail price for the original. I like the original. I think that it is insanely priced for what it is. Actually, any perfume in that range is insanely priced regardless of what it is. I don't care how good it smells. And that's not to say I would never pay that amount for a fragrance. That is not the point. It's more like on principle alone, I didn't want to shell out that kind of money. So instead, and on recommendation from people and on curiosity on my own part. But the fact of the matter is that at this point, I have an entire corner of a shelf dedicated to Baccarat Rouge 540 smell-alikes. And it's gotten crazy. So I need to reduce that down. So instead of doing 7 or 8 or more of a certain profile, I'd like to just do 2. Can we stick to 2 as a max? 1, 2, 3 if it's an especially fantastic scent profile that I just can't live without. And the same thing goes for really any scent profile. Do I need 7, 8, 10, 12, 14 marshmallow fragrances? Do we really need that? Do I need that many marshmallow fragrances, or can I have 2 or 3 that are in that realm that would scratch the itch? So I want to curate the collection a little bit more and reduce the number of same fragrances that I have, and also just be more thoughtful in the future when I'm looking at fragrances and asking myself, does this smell like something that I already have? And if the answer is yes, do I enjoy the thing I'm looking at more than something I already have? Does it perform better? Is the bottle prettier? Is there some reason, some compelling reason to purchase the one that I'm looking at versus enjoying what I have? So I need to be thinking about that as I'm making purchasing decisions this coming year. And in the meantime, cull the collection down so that I don't have numerous ones of the same kind of thing. I have tried enough that for the purpose of the channel, I can still tell you about a range of fragrances that smell the same without physically holding up the bottle to you as the audience. I mean, I hope I've gained your trust and you know that I've tried things out and can share with you my thoughts on them, even if they're not in my collection, and share with you whether I think they're worth purchasing or passing on. So that's one thing that I want to stop doing, multiples of the same thing. This next one is a little bit controversial. The next stop, my second stop thing. And hear me out on this, because it's going to sound like I've changed my mind on something pretty important on my channel, and that is the purchasing of dupe fragrances. Hang on a second. I want to tell you what I mean by that. If you followed me for a long time, you know that last summer I went absolutely berserk, bananas, bonkers, cuckoo birds, and purchased a bunch of dupes from a number of dupe houses, from Alexandria Fragrances, from Belayered, from Okcha, from Dossier, and from Dua. Dua especially I'm a little irritated about because I can't stand the bottles. And what had happened was I ended up with, I don't know, maybe close to 100 dupe fragrances by the time it was all said and done. Here I was purchasing them when the houses were having sales. You know I love a good sale. 20, 30% off, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. So some people think of dupes as a way to try a very expensive fragrance before they decide if they want to purchase the expensive fragrance. So I have a very, I think, comical reel on Instagram about, it says if dupes could talk. Go check that out. I'll link it in the description box. Have yourself a good laugh at the audio connected to that. I didn't want to purchase dupes for that purpose for myself, although I understand why people do that, and I get that. Some people purchase dupes because they can't afford the actual, like the original fragrance, or they refuse to pay the price for the original fragrance, even if they can afford it. And I get that too. And that's a place where dupes are a great alternative. For me, I can only tell you why I got into purchasing dupes. One, curiosity. Wanted to see how close they were to the originals. And two, I had heard from many, many reviewers that oftentimes the dupes will outperform the original fragrances. So for me, that seemed like a no-brainer. If a dupe is less expensive, I can get a dupe from Alexandria Fragrances for $30 instead of $300 or more for the original. I mean, 10% of the cost. It seemed like a no-brainer to me, right? And I was going to get better performance and more projection. I felt like that was a slam dunk decision. Here's what started to happen over the course of the past year as I have leaned into my dupe collection. One, having so many of the same bottle style and shape in my collection became like visually irritating for me. I know, first world problems. What can I say? I do appreciate the beauty and uniqueness of perfume bottles. So when I have 30 Dua bottles lined up, the shape started to get on my nerves. The same thing with Alexandria Fragrances, although I like the Alexandria fragrance bottles the most, personally. Same thing with Okcha. And I also found that I forgot what the names of the fragrances on the dupe bottles, what they were. This is so dumb, y'all. Dumb and crazy. I had to actually put stickers on the bottles to tell me what the fragrance was duping because I had so many. The problem for me was volume here, if you're getting the picture. It wasn't dupes. Dupes are not the problem. The problem is I went crazy purchasing too many, and to the point where I didn't know what I had in my collection. So I had to put little stickers on them. And so then I got irritated having to pick something up and turn it around and see, oh, this is a dupe of thus and such. So noting these sort of aesthetic challenges with dupe bottles, I kind of made up my mind. Now, mind you, if you watch me on the other channel, you already know a little bit of what I'm about to say. I need to curate what I'm purchasing so that it matches certain rules for me. So when is it that I'm going to purchase a dupe? It has to have a very specific trifecta of criteria. It has to meet 3 criteria. 1, it has to outperform the original. In other words, there's some original fragrances that are really beautiful, but they last 30 minutes and they cost $500. There's no way. I'm not doing it. You can do it if you want to. I'm not doing it. So it has to dramatically outperform the original. 2, it has to have a nice looking bottle. I like the Alexandria and Be Layered bottles just fine. Dua has changed the top. Thank you, Dua. Oakja bottles are okay. So I have to like the bottle. And 3, I have to not be able to get the original on a significant discount. Okay, so those 3 things have to be in place. Outperform, nice looking bottle. I can't get the original on a significant discount. Therefore, the dupe is a better value all around for me. So that's going to be my rule from now on with dupes. And it connects back to that first one in that with dupes, I ended up having 4 or 5 or whatever of a certain kind of fragrance. For example, African leather. I probably had 3 or 4 dupes of African leather instead of just purchasing the original, which is beastly, which is in a beautiful bottle, which shows up on discounts on gray market sites like FragranceNet and so forth. So if I had just been patient and waited a little longer, I could have gotten the original beautiful bottle. It's an awesome fragrance instead of having 3 or 4 other fragrances that are now getting on my nerves because they feel like clutter on my shelf. Does that make sense? So let's be clear. I'm not anti-dupe. I'm still going to talk about dupes. I'm just going to curate my dupe collection back to the ones that I really think meet those 3 criteria. Have I gone on enough about dupes? Let's go on. So 2 things I'm going to start doing. One is practicing more overall fluidity with my collection. I'm using that word because I can't think of a better one, but it's about being okay with things moving in and out of my collection. I've made a number of videos joking us as reviewers on YouTube when we fall in love with things and then decide later that, hey, we don't like it anymore, and so we declutter it. All of that is for fun and giggles, to be honest. We know this, right? You know this. I hope you appreciate that about me and my sense of humor, that I'm really just being silly when I do those videos. So for me, as I look at my collection, it has grown insanely large and it just doesn't make sense. Now, let me be clear. I'm not that person that feels like you have to use up everything in all of your collections. That's just not a rule that I live by. My gosh, we don't do that with anything else. We don't use our shoes until we have holes in them. We don't wear jeans until they're like ripped apart at the seams, or maybe we do. I don't know. We rotate things in and out of our collection as they become less useful or meaningful to us, or they start to fray, or whatever the case may be. Everybody has a different sort of tolerance level for that. And some people feel like they need to use all of their fragrances down to the last drop, or they're being wasteful. I get it. I appreciate and I understand that some people feel that way. As for me, I'm happy to get whatever I think my money's worth is out of a bottle, whatever that may mean. And it can also mean that I pass it along to someone else as a gift and let them enjoy it, or that I sell it like on Mercari and get a decent value for what's left of the fragrance. And in that way, the fragrance lives on, someone enjoys it, it has not gone to waste as people feel. So I just want to be better about being fluid and letting things move in and out of my collection as my tastes change. Look, I do this with clothing, I do this with shoes, I do this with makeup, I do this with other things in my house. Why don't we do this with fragrances? Why do we feel, or some people feel, that you can't move fragrances in and out? I don't really know what that's about. I can only tell you that for me, I felt like I was maybe being not loyal to fragrances if I decided a few months later that I had had enough of the fragrance or had my time with it. But I realized that that is a toxic mentality in and of itself. Some people might argue that the purchasing of it in the first place is the toxic behavior. I get it. I won't argue against that. But in terms of the moving out part, I need to not have the toxic mentality of feeling like I need to hold on to fragrances that I am enjoying less, or I'm not using as much as I would like, or for which I've purchased something new that is in the same scent family and that I enjoy more. That's all okay. I'm a responsible adult. I can find new homes for my fragrances. I can sell them. I can pass them along to friends. I can donate them and they will get new life. And just to not feel guilty, like it's your collection, you do what you want with your fragrances, just like you do with everything else in your house. Every other collection of items and things that you have in your house, it's your choice, your decision. You're an adult. You can do what you want with it. So anyway, practicing fluidity with my fragrances is something that I want to start doing in 2023 more consciously. Also in the category of start is I want to start not just curating my collection more, but curating the content that I choose to watch on YouTube. We should all do this. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch hours and hours of different kinds of YouTube content. Some of it is in the makeup world. Some of it is like lifestyle vlogging. I watch meditation videos. I watch exercise videos. Sometimes I actually even do the exercise while I'm watching it. I watch my favorite TV shows. Sometimes I watch snippets of concerts that I couldn't attend. I do also watch a lot of fragrance content. I watched a lot more before, and I am just more careful now about who I watch. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But I want to watch channels that bring me joy versus channels that perhaps I felt like I was watching out of obligation. That's a tough one to say out loud. That's a really tough thing to say out loud. And I am that person. I'm that loyal person that once we're friends and we're buddies or whatever, I kind of stick it out to the end. I don't know what the end is. Where's the end? Where's the end? What's the end to this? But just like fluidity with my collection, I need to allow content, YouTube content, to be more fluid in my life, in my existence, and watch channels that I enjoy, where the content creator is someone that I connect with for whatever reason, or that I feel inspired by, or that makes me laugh. I want to feel good clicking into a video and like I'm hanging out with a friend, whoever that person is, right? Or mentor or something. There's some sort of personal connection with the person that appeals to who I am at this point in my life. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay, let's move on to the two things I'm going to continue in 2023. So maybe a little bit controversial. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I don't care. This is how I feel, and I'm going to express my thoughts here. One is to continue to have a non-compete clause with my fellow creators. It's an invisible clause that's in my own mental contract about how I behave on YouTube. What do I mean by non-compete? This is about the latest releases, the hype trains. Have I been guilty of purchasing a fragrance that was hyped up? Sure. Will I do it again? Sure. I'm talking about the non-compete mental clause that I have to not run out and get the latest release that is hot, new, the shiny new penny that everybody feels the need to talk about. I don't begrudge anyone for doing that on their channel. In fact, I know for a fact that some people do that because they think their viewers want to see that. And it's going to attract people to their channel. It's going to get their viewership up. I get that. I totally understand that, right? There's no point in creating content on YouTube if somebody's not going to want to see it. So everybody has the right to create content that they think other people want to see. That's just the way YouTube works. And everybody needs to understand that. I don't even understand why we have to talk about that and explain that. But I can't tell you the number of times I've seen a new release just make the rounds. And I know in my heart that that content creator didn't really care about that fragrance, didn't necessarily want it, and probably purchased it out of obligation or feeling like they needed to be relevant and timely for their audience. It happens in the makeup space too. In fact, there are a lot of videos in the makeup world where makeup YouTubers are actually speaking out against that now and saying that they regret spending so much of their past year or two chasing the latest new release and reviewing it on their channel just to never use it again or whatever, and that they plan to stop doing that. So again, I don't begrudge anyone doing that. I appreciate that everyone is doing content for their channel in the way that they think is the healthiest for their channel. I just know that for me, that doesn't feel right. It does not feel right to go as soon as there's a release and grab it at the full retail price. Have I driven that point home enough? And review it, especially not for the sake of views. So if I want the fragrance, I'm going to buy it, period. It's all about the motivation, I think, is what I'm getting at here. I hope that message is not getting confused. But anyway, I will continue to not purchase the latest hyped fragrance, give it a chance to settle down. And if it's something that I want, I'll grab it, and preferably on what? Say it with me for the people in the back, on discount. Speaking of view count, I debated whether I even wanted to talk about this or not, because it could come across a little bit sour or bitter or something like that. Please know I don't mean it that way. So the second thing I plan to continue to do is to do my own thing, to continue to prioritize connection with all of you as viewers, connection with some other content creators that I've really enjoyed here. Prioritize those two things, connection and creativity, over view count. Like I just said, everyone has the right to create content for their channel that they think is going to attract an audience and that people are going to enjoy watching. So people do that in different ways. Thankfully, YouTube gives us tools so that we can see what kind of keywords are ranking, where are people clicking into, what kinds of videos are people interested in seeing. Because like I said, nobody wants to create content that two people are going to watch. That doesn't make sense. That feels like a waste of time to us. It feels like we are failing the audience if you're not interested in the content, all of that kind of thing, right? That kind of wreaks havoc on your mind and your brain. So you can look up and see what is it that people are looking for. For me, I want to combine a little bit of that because I don't do a whole lot of that. I do some of it, but I don't do a whole lot because it's kind of time consuming too, with also what is it that I want to create. When those two things match up, for me, it's a match made in heaven for a video. You want to watch it and I want to create it. Perfect combination, right? It's like two people that want to go hang out together at brunch. Yay, we both want to go. We both want to have mimosas together. Fantastic. If only one of us wants to go, it's not a brunch date. So that's kind of how videos are. Videos are like a virtual brunch date that everybody enjoys going to, or you hope they enjoy going to. So the keyword searches and things like that give you a sense of what people want to see. And that's part of the reason, friends, why we see chunks of videos that have similar themes, like a top 10 this or a best of. Why is that? That's because that's what people are typing into the search bar. That's what they're looking for, or a lot of people are looking for. Now, if you're a creative person out there, you're going, well, I don't look for that. I look for this and that. Well, what I'm saying to you is that percentage-wise, volume-wise, more people are looking for those key terms, which is why you see a lot of that show up in video titles. And sometimes it'll feel a little tired to you as a viewer. Oh my gosh, another top 10 beast mode fragrances. How many of these videos can we have? Well, a lot of people seem to like that kind of video, which is the reason that you're seeing a lot of that show up when content creators are trying to create content that they think you will enjoy clicking into and enjoy watching. That's what that's about. We can't be mad at people for doing that. That's kind of the way YouTube works, right? What I won't do, though, is to create a video that I think is a popular topic that I'm just not interested in. I can't really think of what that is right now because I don't do those things, but an example that comes to mind is reviewing men's fragrances. I do not want to get into the hobby of purchasing men's fragrances just for reviewing on my channel. I like the fragrances that my husband has, and I'm happy to talk about those. That makes sense to me, right? Like that feels fun to share with you what I like my husband to wear. What I think smells good on him, what I think smells sexy, alluring, whatever. That's something I can do, but I'm not going to amass a collection of men's fragrances just to share because I think that men want to watch those videos. That's just not going to happen. I'm not that person. Another thing that I will never do ever on my channel or on Instagram or anywhere else is purchase subscribers, followers, or views. That's a sensitive topic. And I don't know that all of you know that that happens out here on YouTube and on Instagram, etc. And you see people with really large accounts or accounts that appear to be growing quickly, and it seems like they've gained popularity very fast. In some cases, that is what has happened. And in other cases, they've literally purchased subscribers or views on videos. There are ways that you can know that that happened if you're observant. And there's also software out there that can help you figure that out if you really want to go check into that. It's a deep, dark rabbit hole once you see it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it gets really disappointing to notice that people you thought were one way are actually another way. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. And that's something that I just can't do. That's like a real breach of my personal integrity. And I just won't do that. I'd rather continue to do my own creative thing, even if it doesn't help my channel blow up. I'm not looking for my channel to blow up. Like I said, I have a full-time career that I enjoy very much, and I'm happy with that. This is really for creativity's sake that I do this here, but it's just disheartening for me to see some of my peers out here on YouTube and on Instagram and other social media platforms purchasing subscribers and followers, all in this like thirsty, crazy, spiraling cycle to grow, to look important, to look like you're loved on social media. Friends, I won't do that. So I rather connect with you on a genuine level. I rather do content that I think you will enjoy and see where the chips land. Sometimes the videos do well, sometimes they don't, and that's totally cool with me. And just see where things flow. Let it be organic and let it be natural. And finally, a bonus reflection. I want to just keep having fun. I have enjoyed this channel and have told myself I'll continue to do this as long as I enjoy it, as long as it feels good, as long as I feel like I'm connecting with the audience and that they're enjoying the content. So fun is the name of the game. The minute that this starts to feel like a drag, or I start to feel like the audience is disconnecting or things aren't really making sense to all of you as viewers, I kind of want to just stop doing it. In the meantime, this has been a blast, and I feel like I've connected with all of you. Even though we may never meet each other, we may never know each other in real life, I feel like I know you virtually, and you're part of that virtual YouTube family. And so big love to you. I hope that your 2023 is as fabulous as you want it to be, brings you all the joy and prosperity in the world, all the creativity, all the fun, all the connection that you want and desire. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching this video that is different than what I usually produce on this channel. And thanks for indulging me. If you have stayed this long, I really appreciate it. Take care, friends.